8:47 and welcome back. A local couple spent their one-year anniversary in the Philippines. It was the 1960s. They followed their hearts into the Peace Corps, where they spent 2 years teaching. Well, 40-some years later, they wanted to rekindle that feeling again. Joining us this morning are our Global Volunteers of the Month, still married and helping after all these years. Dean and Carol LaFrenze, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First, just quick, take us back to the Philippines. So you've been married not long, and you said, wow, let's go to the Philippines. How did, let's join the Peace Corps. How did that all come about?
Dean.
Is that your doing, Dean?
It was.
I think it was probably me. I was really anxious to do that, and I was at a point where I needed to convince Carol that it was something that she wanted to do as well. So it took a few months, but
she did, yeah.
I did finally convince her that that's what we should be doing. And we spent 2 years, and they were wonderful years. They probably gave us some itchy feet in regard to our travel experiences, but we had 2 years of teaching in the Filipino schools. I taught 5th grade, Carol taught preschool and kindergarten, and we taught in a second language.
So obviously it had such an effect on you that it sat and ate away at you for decades, or at least something that you knew that you wanted to do again. And your first trip, you decided to get together with Global Volunteers.
Yes.
And you went to China. And this was a special trip. Explain why.
We were the 100th group to go to China to work with the children there. We taught in the schools there. Very exciting. And
the picture right there?
That's the picture. We were in we had a celebration because it was the 100th anniversary, or 100th team. They did have very special events for us, which were very exciting, and of course put us in the culture, which was one of the special things about Global Volunteers and volunteering.
Now, the two of you are retired teachers, and we're going to start with a picture of Carol in the classroom. Explain what you did. This is not in China. This is another trip that you took, correct?
Yes, this was our second Global Volunteer experience. We went to Poland this past fall. Here I am with my 7-year-olds. You can see they're just like children here. They like to ham it up a little bit when the picture's being taken, and their smiling faces. And this was a good experience. I enjoyed working with these children before school.
And what were you doing, what were you helping them doing in the classroom?
I actually had taught English as a second language for them. So I was teaching them English and how to speak English. So.
And they don't have a lot of exposure. Now, Dean, there's a picture of you in the classroom. It's a small community in Poland, and they aren't exposed very often to, to Americans and to the American language. Tell us about these kids.
These are 10 and 11-year-old kids. You can see these are mostly boys here, I guess, as I look at the picture. But it was an equal mix of kids. I had 14 kids in the classroom. And again, they're very typical 10 and 11-year-old kids, interested in athletics, interested in gym kinds of activities. And, of course, what we were doing was teaching them English as a second language. They only had an hour of instruction in English in their school. And they, of course, were learning Polish, and they were also learning Russian. So these kids are trilingual as we begin. They're already out and doing the language development at a very early age.
You were a principal, correct?
I was an assistant principal.
Assistant principal. And how did using your skills as teachers, I mean, obviously if you're teaching English as a second language, was that a new skill that you had to learn over there?
Well, I think I taught kindergarten for 22 years, and you do fall back on your skills, obviously, from being in a classroom, which is very helpful. But it's you're just working with kids is working with kids the world around. Kids are the same. They love songs, they love to laugh, and they love to learn.
And do you have are you planning another trip?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, oh, yes. See, it gets in your blood, doesn't it? It does.
We are presently looking at maybe another trip in October. We've talked about maybe going to Italy or maybe going to Greece. But we're also looking at some of our friends and trying to encourage them to do the same. It's really a wonderful experience, and you don't have to be a teacher to be a successful global volunteer.
You're right.
But the experience that we're having, again, in those two countries would be similar in that we'd be teaching the second language English again.
Well, it is definitely, a way to see the world and travel that feeds your soul and all of that. And we're so glad that you came on to share your story today, Dean and Carol LaFrenze.
Thank you for letting us.
Come back and let us know about your next trip.
Thank you very much.
We'd love to.
And if you'd like information on becoming a global volunteer, you can log on to globalvolunteers.org. It's now 8